On May the 4th, 2020, Disney wrapped up the Clone Wars animated series with episode 12 of season 7. Like many other fans, I loved the way that the Siege of Mandalore arc tied in directly with Revenge of the Sith, so I started working out how the movie and the show were connected chronologically. As I'm sure you can guess, this video will be full of spoilers, so stop now if you're not all caught up. I'm going to go through how I determined this and a few discrepancies I found, but if you don't care about that and you just want to get straight to watching my version, you can either skip to the end or click the link below to download PDF instructions. I've also posted the spreadsheet I used to figure this all out so you can scrutinize my logic or just follow along. Here's how I did it. I started with the Holo meeting where Windu says he senses a plot to destroy the Jedi, since that is the one event that is depicted in both the movie and the show. From there, I looked at the lighting of the scenes before and after that point to get an idea of how many days had passed as well as the time of day. Since Ahsoka joins the meeting on Mandalore in the morning while the same meeting happens in the late afternoon on Coruscant, I determined that there is a roughly 9-hour time difference between the two planets. For simplicity, I'm assuming that both planets have 24-hour days with 12-hour days and nights. I picked 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for dawn and dusk, and I count one day as dawn to dawn. After that, I looked at key dialogue to fine-tune the order of events. So let's start at the beginning. At the end of Clone Wars Episode 8, Ahsoka leaves Coruscant with Bo-Katan in a Fang fighter. However, when she meets the Republic cruiser, she is in a different ship and is wearing what looks like a Mandalorian-inspired uniform. Because of this, I assume her initial communication with Obi-Wan and Anakin is sent from Mandalore, or at least one of its moons. Meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan are on a planet called Urbana in the Outer Rim. Obviously as part of the Outer Rim sieges that Anakin refers to when he sees Padme towards the beginning of the movie. This presents a problem, though. When Obi-Wan comes to tell Anakin that Coruscant is under attack, he says that our fleet can be there within the hour. Wait, if they are in the Outer Rim, how can they get back within an hour? The only way this makes sense is if the cruiser met Ahsoka close to Coruscant. But why would they meet there? How could Anakin and Obi-Wan justify taking their entire fleet out of the Outer Rim just for a meeting? The closest I can come to justifying this is if Urbana is to the galactic west of Coruscant and they decided to meet in the middle, bringing their fleet closer to the core worlds. With that behind us, we know that the fleet will be split, with Ahsoka and Rex taking a battle group to Mandalore while Anakin and Obi-Wan return to Coruscant. Since they are closer, we stop the CW episode right as Ahsoka turns away and jump to the start of Revenge of the Sith. This puts us around dawn on Coruscant, day 1. The heroes arrive at the battle, save the Chancellor, kill Dooku, and then crash land sometime during the day. Anakin meets Padme on the landing platform. Meanwhile, we can assume that the Siege of Mandalore started a few hours after the fleet split, since Bo-Katan had been stressing the urgency of action. The landing clearly started during the day, so the earliest that could be happening is around 9 a.m. the next day. Then we cut back to Grievous chatting with Sidious, which I assume happens that evening, since Grievous needs a few hours to get to Utapau. Directly after that, we see Anakin and Padme talking on the balcony, clearly at night. Meanwhile, on Mandalore, Almec is captured and Ahsoka finally catches up with Maul. The next shot is Anakin talking to Yoda the next day, followed by Palpatine appointing him to the Jedi Council. That afternoon, Anakin is given his seat on the Jedi Council, and then Obi-Wan tells him to spy on the Chancellor. Later that evening, Anakin goes to the water ballet with Palpatine. The next morning, Anakin is in a meeting about Grievous when Obi-Wan is assigned to Utapau. Now, with Obi-Wan having been assigned to Utapau, his first Holo meeting with Ahsoka can take place. Based on the order of events in Return of the Sith, this meeting must occur in the 3rd day of the Siege of Mandalore. This is interesting because if you watch the episode alone, it looks like everything happens in one day. I actually prefer this realization because a drawn-out siege is more realistic in my opinion. Anyway, the meeting is late in the afternoon on Mandalore, which means it's after midnight for Obi-Wan on Coruscant. Ahsoka then goes to the sewers at dusk and learns of Jesse's capture. A few hours later, Obi-Wan has his final chat with Anakin as he boards the cruiser to Utapau. Around the same time, Ahsoka visits Almec in prison, he's assassinated, and Maul sends his syndicate into hiding. We know it's the evening based on the lighting when Saxon escapes. Closer to dawn, Maul confronts the heroes and his army attacks the city. I assume this starts in the early morning instead of around midnight because I cannot imagine the duel between Maul and Ahsoka lasted for 6 or 7 hours. Then of course Maul is captured, and Ahsoka looks through the hole in the roof with what could be sunrise. This is further supported by the fact that when the gunship lands, the sun is up. I can't imagine the trip back down to the city took more than 15 minutes or so. And that puts us at the roundtable discussion that appears in both the series and the movie.
If he does not give up his emergency powers after the destruction of Grievous, then he should be removed from office.
The Jedi Council will have to take control of the Senate in order to secure a peaceful transition.
From here, things move fast. While Maul is secured and taken to the cruiser, Anakin discovers Palpatine is the Sith Lord, tells the Council, Mace and the others confront him, Anakin intervenes, and Order 66 is executed. Here's where the second issue comes up. During Return of the Sith, Sidious talks to Anakin for around 4 minutes before sending him to the temple. Only after he leaves does Sidious contact Commander Cody about Order 66. But in the Clone Wars episode, Ahsoka feels the attack going on at the same time that Rex gets the order. It makes no sense that Ahsoka would have stood on the bridge, stunned, for 4 minutes before running to Rex. It seems odd that the Force would travel slower than intergalactic communication, and that wouldn't fit with the timing of Yoda feeling the deaths on Kashyyyk before his clones turned. Anyway, all that aside, that leaves us with Ahsoka dodging clones around noon Mandalore time while Anakin attacks the Jedi Temple at night. Assuming both of those fights take an hour or two at least means Anakin checks on Padme and leaves for Mustafar around the time Ahsoka's cruiser crashes. Anakin travels while Ahsoka and Rex bury clones. The following day, Bail Organa returns to Coruscant with Yoda, and the remainder of Return of the Sith plays out over the 5th day on Coruscant. Anakin is returned to Coruscant during the evening, so we can assume that when he is seen on the bridge of a Star Destroyer looking at the Death Star under construction, it is probably the 6th day. All that leaves is the final scene of Clone Wars Episode 12, where Vader visits the crash site of Ahsoka's cruiser. Since the cruiser is covered in snow, most of the grave markers have fallen down and the troopers are not wearing clone armor, I assume this happens a few weeks after the movie. So that's my version of how it all fits together. Here's the viewing guide, and don't forget you can download a PDF with the link in the comments section. I recommend using Disney Plus to view this since it will save your place in each video when you go back and forth. Thanks for watching.